Steph popped up on the injury report with a thumb sprain. Did that happen during practice or anything? And how is he doing?
I think it happened in the game the other night. So he's probable for the game. His thumb is taped up, but he just warmed up, and we think he's going to play.
And then status for Draymond tonight?
He's good to go. Hi, Sam.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Just curious your thoughts on the Sixers. You see a team that starts in the kind of turmoil they had, and health was a big part of it, but it was health and then other stuff, and they've kind of found their way. Big fella doesn't play last night. Obviously, going to be out there tonight. Just are they anywhere near the level you think that you and a lot of folks thought they might be at this point? Just what are you seeing on tape out of this group right now?
I'm no longer in the analyst business, so I just we're just trying to beat them tonight. They're obviously getting healthy and playing better. I mean, I think they won 5 in a row before last night, and very talented. So they're starting to look like the team that that I think people expected, and we know we got our hands full tonight. So that's the extent of my analysis.
You've kind of moved into maybe a firmer front court rotation or tried to lately, obviously, with a lot of coming off the bench. Probably more Draymond small ball. I just wonder, because a lot of what you've done this year is kind of matchup based. You're facing, Embiid tonight. How does that impact, the way you've wanted to script out your front court rotation? Yeah,
I mean, Loon definitely could find himself out there, depending on how the game goes. So we'll just we'll see how it goes. We'll start our usual Trayce and Draymond at the 5 and the 4, and those guys will both guard Joel. And if we need Loon, we'll put him out there too.
A couple weeks now since bringing Dennis over, I guess just big picture, how would you contextualize what goes into incorporating or on the fly adjusting stylistically to a player and his strengths and kind of the domino effect that can have on an offense?
Well, we like the fact that Dennis is a pick and roll player. He can get Steph off the ball, so he relieves a lot of the ball handling pressure from Steph. And that means we've been running more pick and roll than we were before. I love that Dennis is a two-way player. He's great defensively, gets into the ball. The ability to put him on, like Maxey tonight, for example, it's a huge benefit for us. So offensively, it's really about just finding our rhythm with him. It's hard in the middle of the season, for a guy to go to a new team and not much practice time, you're thrown into the fire. So it just takes a little time to find rhythm for him and for us. So we're in that process, and every time we do practice, we're working on that kind of stuff.
Hey, Steve, back here. I know you coached Joe this summer in Paris, and obviously there's a difference between scouting somebody but then finally getting to coach them yourself. What, if anything, did you learn about his game, getting to be with him every day?
Gosh, he's just got the softest hands and incredible touch, and big guys aren't supposed to have all of that. So I really enjoyed coaching Joel. He was a big part of the group's sacrifice. We had 12 Hall of Famers, or at least 10 or 11, I can tell you that. And Tyrese has some work to do. Derrick White has some work to do. I think the other guys are all going to the Hall of Fame now. So it was an incredibly talented group, but the only way it was going to work is if everyone sacrificed and embraced that not every night was going to be their night. And I thought Joel handled that really well. There was a game where he didn't get in, the whole group just committed to each other. And I thought his play against Serbia in the semis was the key to that game. We had to have that to win the gold medal. And he was there for us at the biggest moment. So he was brilliant, and enjoyed coaching him. I'm looking forward to seeing him tonight.
Steve, kind of following up Anthony's question about the front court rotation. You've had some stretches, effective stretches with Draymond at the 5 and Jonathan at the 4. We talked to Draymond about that, I guess, after the Suns game, about playing 5 more. And his attitude was, or his response was, you know, he came into the season not wanting to play a bunch there, but you got to do what works. And that was sort of his view of it. How much can he play the 5? How conscious do you have to be of the wear and tear on him in that spot?
Yeah, but there's a reason I've started him at the 4 all year. You know, last year I think we started him at the 5 for the second half of the season, and it's tough on him night after night. And you can imagine, you know, if we started him at the 5 tonight and he's got to guard Joel time after time down the block, that takes so much out of him. So I like him at the 4, but we have to get JK with him at times. And to me, the only way to do that is to put them at the 4 and the 5 together. And so we'll do that periodically during games when we see opportunities to do so. But for the most part, I want to keep Draymond at the 4 as often as possible.
Steve, back here again. Sorry to go back to Joel, but during the beginning of the season, he was obviously still dealing with the knee stuff. And I'm just wondering, when he was with you with Team USA, how cognizant did you guys have to be with that injury, just because it was a little bit shorter of him coming off the surgery, and just was that something that you had to sort of deal with and keep a lookout for day to day?
Yeah, our training staff managed that. He had his personal trainer on the trip as well, and you know, we managed all that together throughout the trip. But you know, I thought it took him a week or so to really start to find rhythm. You know, we showed up in Vegas and, you know, he was clearly not in rhythm. And then within a couple of weeks, he started to find his groove offensively and look like himself. So it took him some time, but he got there and then managed it well throughout.
Even though Kyle hasn't been playing, what does he add from a leadership standpoint?
Kyle is awesome. I mean, he's, you know, the last couple of games he hasn't gotten in. He's leading the charge on the bench, cheering, talking to guys, giving them advice, counsel. I think internal leadership is so important in this league, and I couldn't speak more highly of Kyle as just a pro, as a teammate, as someone who I love to coach, and I want to play him more. You know, he's a high IQ player, and you know, I would love to play him more, but as we've talked about many times this year, this has been a tricky puzzle to put together. And so he's been the odd man out a few times, and it's kind of where he is right now. But we also know that things change at the drop of a hat. He could find his way back into the rotation quickly.
You guys have like the worst field goal percentage for about a month.
Thank
running.
you. Yeah.
For about a month running right now. As you know, I'm sure you're trying to diagnose and correct, you know, on a daily basis. As you're assessing it, how much is it? Do you feel like schematically needs to be shifted? And how much is it just like some of these veterans need to hit shots that historically they've hit?
It's sort of a little bit of everything. You know, our defense has suffered the last 15 games. We're near the bottom of the league in three-point field goal percentage allowed, and so that impacts our offense. It's tougher to play offense when you're taking the ball out of the net, when you're demoralized. I thought the other night against Cleveland, we had a great first quarter. We're up by 1 at the end of the quarter. If we'd made shots, we're up 10, you know. But we didn't make shots. So now all of a sudden, they get on a little run. We're down 8-9 points, and there's a sense that we're a little demoralized. Then the pace slows down. That affects our shooting when we're playing in the half court instead of playing faster. Our pace overall during this last stretch that you talked about is much slower than the first part of the season when we were shooting well. So I think it's all tied together. And sometimes, you know, when things go poorly and you're losing games, you know, it can weigh on you mentally, and I think that's happened for sure.